morning, everyone,
Good morning.
and welcome to another episode of Kids Plus Live, coming to you here from evidence-based studios at Kids Plus Pediatrics in the fabulous city of
Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania. Oh, and I did not mute myself over here. Okay, so we're live. We know we're live, and we know you can hear us because you just heard us hearing you, hearing us. Anyway, very meta. I am Chad Herman, Kids Plus Communication Director, along with
Todd Willin, CEO, pediatrician, and co-host.
And as you can see, we are with, as an always fashionable pediatric tie. Todd's rocking the Halloween tie today.
And also just want everybody to remember to eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables, which is going to be a really important thing to remember when we suffer once again for your entertainment. We've got the bad candy over here. We're going to get to it in a minute. So as you can see, it's Halloween, and I don't do the ties, as you know, so I'm just in pure Halloween black. When did purple become a Halloween color?
It's not a Halloween.
It's not, and I love purple. Purple is a great color, but I'm walking around seeing purple lights and purple things. No, orange and black.
We have a lot of discussion today about tradition and nouveau Halloween, and this translates into the edible Halloween, and I'm scared today. I'm actually probably more scared this year than I have of Halloween than previous years.
Yeah, it's appropriate. It's appropriate on Halloween to be scared. And
you're not looking at his counter, but I am.
No, I've got the secret stash of bad candy over here, as we promised. We've got 5 or 6 different kind, including one, you don't even know about this, including one that was deposited on my desk earlier this week by none other than Dr. Kate Belser, who was here with me on the show last week, so she knew what we were doing. And she dropped a little note, which I will read later, with her own addition to our suffering. But Todd, we should point out before we start, which will be a great segue into what you want to talk about first. And that is that we had kind of originally had a really cool idea of doing this at all 3 offices and doing what we were going to call a Kids Plus Candy Cam. Thought it was a cool idea. And we still think it's a cool idea. And we will do it at some point in the future.
Yes, we will.
The unfortunate reality is that we simply can't do that today at the other offices or even here, because today, much like this week, much like all of this month, as Kate and I talked about before, as Todd's going to talk about in a few minutes, we are pretty much overrun, as is every other healthcare facility in the region, particularly in the country, particularly the pediatric ones. I'm sure you've seen the newscasts about the reports about Children's Hospital and the waiting rooms.
The triple-demic.
The triple-demic, which Todd will talk about. And so we are so slammed in all 3 offices with walk-ins and with sick appointments and sick kids. And I'll talk more about that, how we're addressing that as well later. But we just simply could not spare anybody at any of the offices to do the candy cam. So Todd and I are just going to do it straight up, as we have done on previous episodes. And we will indeed get to that. As always, before I turn it over to Todd, you all are out there. Give us your questions, your comments, your reactions, anything that you'd like us to talk about. We are happy to address, to answer, and to ruminate upon.
Ruminate's a word. Ruminate, would that be considered a double entendre given today's plan?
Oh, it might be.
Ruminate. That's what a cow does. In my head, I understand he's the English professor, communication guru. I am going back to my biology roots. And I think rumination... Yeah, it's gastric and gastrological in nature.
I believe you. No, I like that. All right, so we're going to get there. But again, let's talk about, Todd, how we are, as you said, all around the country. Everybody is slammed. We are slammed. What's going on?
So I referenced the term triple-demic, which I think it was a New York Times article referencing, and Dr. Jha referenced it, I think. It is the simultaneous wave. Okay, we all know we're dealing with pandemic yet for going into 2.5 or plus years. That's still around. Omicron is still infecting people, still making people sick. That is being thrown into the mix now with RSV, which our friend Dr. Andy Nowak had said the seasonality seems to have gone away, but boy, oh boy, are we seeing, and you've seen those graphs, of RSV is just really, really ramping up right now.
And for folks who don't know what RSV stands for,
respiratory syncytial virus. It's typically a virus that causes lower airway as opposed to upper airway. When we think of upper airway infections, we think cough, runny nose, all up in here. Lower, we think of things like almost asthmatic conditions, pneumonias come down here. This virus, particularly for young kids, is a really serious virus that causes wheezing and respiratory distress and decreased oxygenation. It results in kids being sent to the hospital, going in, being admitted in the ER, being admitted onto the floor, and going into the ICU, and it does kill. So it is really ramping up. Throw on top of that, the third thing is we're approaching flu season, and flu is now being reported, right? We're seeing flu. The good news is, and flu is, before we go off that, listen to our second podcast, because that Dr. Middleton talks about we shouldn't take flu so lightly. Flu every year kills tens of thousands, particularly people that are highest at risk, elderly, so we're at least saying over 65, people with respiratory conditions or other conditions, pre-existing chronic conditions. But every year, flu also kills kids. It could be anywhere between like 50 to 150 kids. So throw all three of those together. And then what did Dr. Andy Nowak tell Chad and I just a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago? This isn't even part of the triple demic, is enterovirus. Right. Enterovirus is causing an enormous amount of respiratory disease this year. And we haven't even mentioned things like adenovirus, rhinovirus, parainfluenza virus, all these other viruses.
That's a lot of viruses.
There's a lot of viruses. And when we say cold and flu season, that's the time of year that these all tend to kick up. Why? We're in close contact. Cold weather drives us indoors. This is when you expect your kid, your school-age kid, to kind of get snotty and cough. And you're almost for sure, when we work in a pediatric practice, going to get nailed as an adult anywhere, or for sure around here, though we usually, I believe, build up pretty good immunity, get up colds. But to that point, everybody's immunity, not their immune system.
Right. Very important distinction. Very important distinction.
Kind of lost a little bit of its edge. And Chad, I'm sure, can make the better distinction because he's chronically taking this on. Oh, our immune systems are weak now. Not the case. But I will let the communicator communicate.
No, I'll just say that this drives me nuts. I've been seeing it again over and over again.
Oh, it's coming up again. I've been seeing it too.
Yeah, it's all over social media, particularly on Twitter. There is a really clear distinction between immunity and to certain viruses and the strength of your immune system. Yeah. And so we actually have a doctor's note coming out later today, fresh off the presses from Dr. Springer.
Yep.
And an audio version of that doctor's note, sort of a mini podcast episode that we recorded yesterday. Yeah. So if you'd like to listen to it or read it, those are both going to come out later on our Facebook page, on our website, on Twitter, all the usual spaces. But she talks about this in pretty nice detail about how during the pandemic, kids stayed home. And they stayed home for a pretty long time. And what she was explaining is that normally in your and Todd's got a great note and video on this on the math of colds, right? That kids who are young get a lot of colds once they get out and about in the world because they haven't had a lot of colds. And they eventually build up immunity to it. They don't have them as often. So the same thing is true for all these viruses for kids when they're first out there and getting exposed to them in that first year or 2 or 3. And again, Dr. Springer explains this beautifully in the note. But when you are taken away from that immunity that you have built up and kind of sustained can weaken and go away. That does not mean your immune system is weakened. That does not mean that hiding away for days, weeks, or months has weakened the immune system. It has actually removed the immunity that you have to those viruses that you've built up over that time. Your immune system is still tanned, rested, and ready to go. It was like Nixon coming back in 72, right? It's there. It is ready to come out of its hibernation whenever it needs to. But that process means once you start getting exposed to those things again, and that immunity is not been built up or it's gone away, now you have to build it back up again because your immune system is working as it's supposed to. So people are conflating this all the time. And I think sometimes mistakenly, right? But there's no question, sometimes purposefully wanting to argue that staying away somehow has done irreparable damage to kids and their immune system. It's just not true. It's the immunity in that short term that they now build back up again.
And that's, again, what this is all about. This is about dispelling myths and providing you with factual information. So as Chad pointed out, when your 2-year-old starts preschool or your 4 or 5-year-old starts pre-K or kindergarten, if they hadn't been around kids, they're for sure going to be sick. And in the math of colds, we say each one lasts 7 to 10 days. You're getting 7 or 8 in a year, but that year's condensed typically in cold flu season. And they just seem to be chronically with a runny nose and cough. Imagine that's happening now worldwide with all ages, because everybody was kind of indoors or masked or away from others for a year to year and a half. And so that's why everybody's saying, wow, I got another cold. Wow, I got another cough. And so parents, those of you that are newer parents who for the first time see your 3 or 4 or 5-year-old with runny nose and cough, my God, I haven't seen this before. It's okay. Call us if you have questions. But I will segue this into the next piece, which is, given what we just told you, worldwide and across the US, well documented every day in the newspaper, there are a couple phenomena going on. The illness rate is up, particularly respiratory illnesses. There's no doubt. I mean, to levels that are a little frightening, given that it's October and we usually think of peak of cold and flu season is December, January, February. So that's up. There is a national shortage and even international shortage of healthcare workers who have burned out, the big retire, or whatever you want to call that. And throw on top of that COVID, which has added protocols that we never had to do, which kids are getting swabbed for a disease that we never even had a swab for. Now that's thrown into the mix. All that thrown together is overtaxing the healthcare system. When I say the healthcare system, I will say the U.S. healthcare system. Right. And I just came back from the National American Academy of Pediatrics meeting and the National Infectious Disease meeting. And man, oh man, was everybody saying, regardless if they were in a multi like million or even $1 billion plus healthcare system or down to a onesie twosie doctor's office, everybody is backed up. So I'm going to say this one time, and Chad will reiterate because he's been putting the messages out to all of you. Please recognize that every office, every urgent care, and every ER is currently overburdened beyond their capacity. Children's Hospital was reporting 12 to 13-hour wait times. They are not unique. This is other hospitals. I'm just giving it right here in Pittsburgh for those of our viewers that are local. Urgent cares, 4, 5, 6-hour wait times. Office wait times, hour, 2, particularly if you're walking in. Right. If you're scheduled, we're getting to you, but I'll hand this over to Chet because he's been communicating this eloquently and repeatedly.
Notice how he always puts the pressure on me. He says how brilliantly I do this stuff, and then says, now do it again, live. But I'm going to rise to the occasion. Dr. Belster and I talked about this last week. This information is also in the dual doctor's note and mini podcast from Dr. Springer that's coming out later today. And that is the notion, again, of watching the walk-ins and then also making an appointment. There are some tips and tricks for how to sort of navigate it. But the first one that we want to talk about, also in Dr. Springer's note, is with all of this stuff going around. And Todd was talking about how serious RSV can be and how serious all of these things can be. But right now, there is a slight, we think, sort of reaction isn't the right word, but an over-vigilance, over-concern. Particularly, we're seeing and hearing from a lot of folks who are whose children are being sent home from childcare and saying RSV is running rampant. You have to have them seen. Like, take them to the doctor right away. And we may need to see them, but we may not, because they're even, including with RSV, with all of these things, you can have mild symptoms that are not concerning. And so you can watch for a couple of days and see how things go. And if you have any concerns, obviously you can call us. But if they are presenting normally, right, if everything seems fine otherwise, Dr. Springer has a great line about labored breathing. Labored, she said, and she actually snorted yesterday, but it did not make it into the audio. I told her she should. She said, labored is not noisy. Labored is labored. They're in distress. They're physically struggling to breathe. And so that's one good example of, we'll hear from parents whose kids are, they're wheezing or they're loud, but they're not laboring. They're, she said, you can see the ribs, the nostrils are flaring, like it's a physical distress. But if they're just stuffy and they're runny nose and they're coughing, they're probably okay to stay at home. You can give us a call. You can send us a patient portal message. We may not need to see them. And so again, there are ways that you can sort of manage that. And the other big one are walk-ins. We have walk-ins all day, and we are proud of that. It's amazing. We know that they're super convenient for busy families, working families. I know every family is busy, but that you can just walk in at any time and be seen. As Todd just said, that same thing is true of ERs and urgent cares, and they're at 5, 6, 7 hours. The Children's Hospital ER has been 6, 9, 10, 13, 14 hours this week. For a lot of kids who do need to be seen, and for some who don't, their parents are just concerned. So with the walk-ins, the same thing with us. We are proud of the way we can move through our walk-ins for sort of standard, non-complicated problems. But man, right now, in this time when, as Dr. Springer, I steal her phrase, when all the kids are sick all the time, we're seeing unprecedented number of walk-ins, which gives us unprecedented numbers of wait times. And we're trying to do our best when you walk in. And I'm sure we know this is true of children's hospitals, of ERs everywhere. So this kind of goes for everyone in addition to just us at Kids Plus. We'll give you an estimated wait time. But the walk-ins, are highly variable. They're highly unpredictable. If we get a huge surge of people in for walk-ins, there's going to be a really, really, really long wait time, and particularly now. So wait times, and we're doing our best to get through them as quickly as we can. Yeah. But at the same time, we are never going to cut anything short or give you anything less in the care that you absolutely need at the time. And so those things are going to run and back up. Our best advice to you, if you think your child needs to be seen, is to patient portal message us or call us, and our triage staff, who are also working wildly, ferociously to handle all the calls and the questions and the portal messages. They'll get back to you, or if you're on the phone, they'll talk to you ASAP and do an evaluation, right? We'll do an assessment, talk to you, ask you some questions, and see if we do need to see, or if we can just give you advice for home care. But again, if we do need to see you, even though walk-ins seem much more convenient, even a sick appointment a couple of hours later might actually be the much more quick and efficient way to do it, because those sick appointments, and we still have them, we're still putting them aside every day because people are calling, they're coming in, they need to be seen. With those sick visit appointments, they're much more predictable. You're still going to have a wait, of course, but almost certainly much, much, much less of a wait than the walk-ins, because we have that schedule, because they're predictable. We will run late at times for more complicated cases, but finding a sick appointment that same day is probably going to be a much quicker, more efficient use of your time than coming in, unless you get really, really lucky on the walk-ins. And again, the walk-ins are here. Use them when you need them. But our best bet is to contact us first, make sure you need to be seen, and then try to get a sick appointment when we can accommodate you in most cases that way.
And there are visits that are just swab-only visits. If you just need to be screened for COVID because your employer or the kid's employer or the school childcare says, we just want to make sure, our protocol says, those are one of the easiest, most efficient if you know ahead of time. Yep. And then we just get you a visit. The kid gets swabbed in and out. So that really reduces the stress on the system.
Speaking of scheduling, those we schedule. And again, in our schedule, we have specific COVID test only slots. Yeah. And so if you do need that, then definitely give us a call. We'll schedule you for one. You'll be in, you'll be seen pretty quickly, swabbed, and right back out. That is definitely not something you want to get a regular appointment for or come in for walk-ins.
So we'll go over more of this during the show. I know we have candy ahead of us, but I would just reiterate, walk-ins, probably the least predictable and hardest to kind of judge how that'll be. So please call and check. And don't forget doctor's notes to help guide you with good information.
Exactly. First, a couple of good mornings to Linda Hager and to Courtney Brown. Hello, good morning, both of you. Thank you, as always, for watching. Again, this is Kids Plus Live. I'm Chad. That's Dr. Todd. And over here is some bad candy.
This is my napkin.
We've got a whole host of napkins, but yes, I've got
in case I need to spit if it's that bad.
Oh, there is no spitting allowed. No, this is not a winery. No, you have to get through it all. All right, so we're going to start. And you know what? Let's start with the one that was brought to us by Dr. Kate Belser after being on the show last week. Knowing we were going to do this, I came into my office on Monday morning, and there was a little present on my desk from her with a note that said, "For Bad Candy Friday, ruining a beautiful Reese's peanut butter cup."
You can't do that.
With potato chips.
What?
I had no idea these things existed. Apparently, it is a Reese's potato chip cup. And I want you to know I cut their big cups. So I cut them in half so Todd could have a piece and I could have a piece.
Not okay.
When I cut that Reese's peanut butter
Did it
cup this
crunch?
morning. It crunched and it crackled.
It's not natural.
It's not right. It's an abomination.
It is.
But Colleen said she's been looking forward to this all month, as has Courtney. I'm a bit of a masochist, so I'm going to say I have too. I don't think Todd has though. But anyway, let's do it. Reese's potato chip big cup, and again, in Dr. Belser's words, ruining a beautiful Reese's peanut butter cup.
Do I need to say a Hail Mary or something before you eat this?
I don't know if you can see this, but look, we're going to bring this into the camera. That is kind of, as the kids would say on college campuses these days, that's problematic. There should not be potato chip. Here, I'm just diving in. Here we go.
All right.
I have thoughts. Go.
Not the most horrible thing I've eaten.
Agreed.
Completely unnecessary and gimmicky.
Correct.
His crunched more than mine did, but I can feel the crunching. It's just abomination was the appropriate word. It's just unnecessary damage to just a critically normally good chocolate candy.
And here's why. I've got very strong feelings on this.
Okay.
And here's why. It's all about the texture. A Reese's peanut butter cup, or any good peanut butter melt away peanut butter cup, it's all about the texture, the smoothness, the creaminess of the peanut butter.
Fair enough.
Now, I like chocolate-covered pretzels, chocolate-covered peanuts, cashews, so salt and chocolate and the saltiness of the peanut butter, that's great. So actually the flavor of the potato chip is perfectly fine. It adds a little extra saltiness to it. I like that.
Yeah.
But my God, the texture, the crunch is all wrong.
Yeah. It is
all wrong.
Wrong is the word.
It feels like you're fighting wanting to spit it out because oh my God, there's something in my Reese's cup.
Right.
That said, I'm going to finish it.
I will finish. The taste is not bad.
Mm-hmm. The taste is good.
It's unnecessary. Well, not bad petition. Thank you, Dr. Belcher.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, outstanding. Yeah, we need a break. Thank you, Kelly, for your perfectly timed question.
Yeah.
Sorry if I missed any info. Will the offices be offering any additional flu vaccine clinics? We were unable to make the earlier ones at Pleasant Hills.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump on that?
You want to jump on it?
Yeah. We're actually putting a video together on that. I'm going to really work to get that out today. It'll be short and TikTok-y. TikTok-y. Who are we still giving flu vaccines for? And Kelly, if you jumped in late, we had talked about the overburdened health system given the wave of illness combined with the national staffing shortages. So things have tightened up, and basically we've offered, I forget how many flu clinics,
9,
and immunized thousands of families there. But given where we are right now, flu before boo, do we have our last clinic this coming up at Cranberry, I believe.
I think we just actually had it.
Oh, we just had it. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we are done with our mass vaccination clinics, which basically leaves these people eligible for flu vaccines at Kids Plus. It is basically going to be kids under 3 because they will have no option to get flu vaccines elsewhere because mostly the CVS, the Rite Aids, those places that you can get flu vaccines for are at, won't usually do it for kids under 3. We will. Any Kids Plus kid under 3, you can still get the flu vaccine here. Any kid who already has a scheduled well visit, we will give them their flu vaccine at that visit.
And if you schedule a well visit, you can get your flu vaccine.
Yes.
Right.
I think short of that, those are the 2 main categories that can still get their flu vaccines at Kids Plus. What we won't be able to do now is we won't be able to give parents or adult caregivers flu vaccine at this time. We do in previous years, we will again. And we may even later this year, depending on staffing and the wave of illness. But for right now, we won't be able to give it to adult family members or caregivers. We won't be able to give it to siblings at the visit of that child just because of how stretched things are and how many people are coming in. We're trying not to back up our staff. And at sick visits.
More than they're already backed up.
More than they're already backed up. And at sick visits, we used to say, hey, we're trying to get a flu vaccine anytime we can. So at a sick visit, we might give it to a kid or even a kid's sibling. We can't do that. We literally can't do that because we're trying to get all the other kids through so that they don't have to go to the 12 to 13 hour ER wait or the 5 to 6 hour urgent care wait, which means there is a premium on time in the office to see the kids that need to be seen. And so we hope everybody understands, and I'm so sorry you couldn't get to the flu clinics. While we certainly always want to give it here, there is a plethora of flu vaccination and even COVID vaccination offerings, namely at your local Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS. And that's pretty much above 3, and definitely for kids like, middle schoolers and up.
Right.
That's available everywhere. And so we'd ask that you take advantage of it. We always want you to come here to your medical home at Kids Plus, but given the extraordinary circumstances, which Chad referenced, there will be a doctor's note going out and a mini podcast, you said.
From Dr. Springer.
Yeah. And then there will be a video about this as well, about the flu vaccines.
And Kelly and everybody else, I mean, let's be very clear. This sucks. We hate this.
Yeah.
We hate everything about it. Anybody who's a Kids Plus family knows that we're constantly striving to do more and to add more. And as Todd said, whether it's giving it to siblings and at sick visits or adults and adult caregivers, parents, grandparents, like we're always doing that. We've done that for years. And it has been a really crappy, disappointing process to get to the point where we have actually had to roll back some of the extra things that we provide all the time. But as Todd said, it's everywhere. We just we can't. There are some things we can't do anymore, given how absolutely slammed we are.
Yeah, and I've been talking to offices, and even in our own region, there are offices that are just closing for nights that they used to have open nights. They're closing for weekends that they had weekends, and they're basically just saying, go to the urgent care. And we're doing everything we can to try and help families be seen here. But even to that point, we just got done talking about our walk-ins are now being overburdened to the point where there aren't a lot of options, right? We're doing the best that we can. Our staff's doing the best that they can. And that's namely why we have had to restrict now flu vaccines as we've approached Flu Before Boo. We will continue to give flu vaccines for kids under 3, for kids at their well visit. But that's currently like the main 2 groups.
Right. The COVID vaccine clinics do continue. They're weekly at Pleasant Hills and at Squirrel Hill Greenfield. We may have to scale back the ones at Cranberry, 7 Fields. Stay tuned if you're a Cranberry 7 Fields patient for an email coming from our office up there. But again, the COVID clinics here and at Pleasant Hills will continue. There was one other stat from Dr. Springer's forthcoming doctor's note and mini podcast that I wanted to address. Todd was talking about this earlier, the string of illnesses, kids being sick all the time. One of the points that Dr. Springer makes in that note is that traditionally, fall and through winter season, and again, this is for kids who are kind of out there being exposed for the first time. As Todd explained earlier, we're kind of all being exposed again for the first time after a couple of years off. You traditionally average about 1 viral illness a month in that early exposure. We're now seeing kids getting not just 1, and it's only October. Yeah. We're now seeing kids getting not just 1, but 2, and sometimes 3 viral illnesses in the same month. We're talking like 2 or 3 times a normal fall into winter season, and it's just getting started.
And it's possible for them to overlap. You could be co-infected, right? That's why we're seeing these kids in the ERs and ICUs in a way that we haven't. ICU bed capacity, children's hospital beds capacity, national children's hospital capacities. If you've been reading and listening to the news, they're all down to like less than 10% or over capacity. And that's no different here in Pittsburgh. So this isn't meant to be scary, but it is meant to tell you 3 things. 3 things that you can help do to avoid ending up in that situation. Right. 1, the flu vaccine, from what I understand, is not a bad match this year. Yay! For the circulating strains. And while everybody's like, I need the flu, this is the last year you want to get sick and hospitalized. And don't forget, if your kid gets sick, you might get sick. And don't forget, if you get sick, Aunt Betty or Grandma might get sick. And I will tell you, this is absolutely, and I am not here trying to scare you, the wrong time to go to the hospital if you don't need to be. And there are scary stories about people expiring in hallways because they have no rooms to get them to like the ICU or the ER. I mean, I'm really trying to be clear here. 3 things you can do. Get your flu vaccine. please get your flu vaccine. It works at reducing the chance for infection. And even if you get infected, as Chad put that note up, it reduces the chance for bad complications from the infection. Second, get your COVID vaccination. Now, we still have more information coming out on the bivalent. The bivalent is currently the only booster that's available, from what I understand, per CDC recommendations now. Here's the scoop on the bivalent. Do we have tons of data on it? It's rolling out right now. What is everything indicating? It's a good booster. Is it way better than the monovalent? Probably not. But it isn't worse. It's actually a little bit better than the monovalent. So the whole hemming and hawing everybody was it worth the resources and everything? Well, right now, it's the vaccine's out. It's safe, it's effective, and it's a smidge more effective, it looks like, than the previous one. So would you get it? I got it. I got it for my kids. My wife got it. I would definitely recommend, please go get your COVID booster, because we know if you got the primary series, and even if you got a first booster, you're probably now out to the point where that immunity is waning a little bit. And this one line came up in infectious disease, particularly for kids, is you got to get your primary series to be boosted. So please get your primary series if you haven't gotten that yet. And we have all those clinics here, primary and boosting. The third thing you can do, common sense stuff. So Purelling your hands, does that make a big difference for COVID? Maybe not, but it's cold and flu season. So there's rhinovirus, there's gastrointestinal viruses. So good hygiene measures. Wash your hands. If your kid's sick or you're sick, please don't expose them to other people, right? And is masking still okay? Sure. You can mask wherever you want. I know the mandates aren't there, but you certainly could. When I'm in a crowded place, I typically will mask, or I will avoid it if it's going to be packed crowded, but I'm not hypocritical. I'll go out to a restaurant if it's fairly open space and I can feel comfortable there. Yeah, I'll go there too. So I will put that out there, that regular mitigation measures. And please don't go around people when they're sick. I got to tell you.
Or please don't go around people when you're sick.
Right. Yeah. It just drives me nuts, right? Like, you don't know what your snotty kid has when you're sending them to school. And I'll tell you, as the parent of the kid that sits next to the snotty kid, that bums you out, because you're like, well, do they have RSV? Do they have COVID? Do they have flu? Do they have enterovirus? Oh, now my kid's sick. Oh, now I'm sick. I mean, it just, please. So
please.
Yeah. We do for another candy?
Oh, we are definitely due. I want to get to a couple of quick comments. One, Kelly said, thanks for the info. Understandable. Also, the Reese's Cups with pretzels are amazing and gluten-free. Okay, gluten-free is cool. Again, I love it with the pretzels. I'm going to love the salt. But, Kelly, the texture is
taste was good, though.
The taste is going to be great.
But the texture is
the texture. Now, Colleen says, not to stoke more flames, more fire, but thanks for standing with real doctors against Dr. What's-His-Face. I always love seeing KPP standing up for real science and integrity.
Thank you. The main thing there was really just the disinformation. Chad and I have been fighting it for over a decade.
Over a decade, but fiercely for the last 5 years, nonstop.
And it just, I talked to Chad before then, and we just said, we're fine staking our flag in the ground for fighting disinformation.
And make no mistake, that's what we're speaking out against. That's what we're fighting, which is mis and disinformation, right? And if the other candidate spouted mis and disinformation, we would call him out too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would call anybody out.
Anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. What are you going to throw at us?
All right.
There is a slew of just I've
been smelling these things through the wrapper all morning.
Through the wrapper.
So it's time to get to it. There is a strange...
we're not talking 50 Cent here.
There's a strange movement afoot. Boy, you're really dating yourself, 50 Cent. There's a strange movement afoot to combine cereals with candy lately. And in fact,
what's that about?
I don't know, but we had a Fruity Pebbles chocolate bar, you'll remember, in a past episode.
Well, that sounds disgusting.
It was awful. You ate it and did not enjoy it. It was at Easter. We all were grossed out by it. Right? So now I stumbled upon these this week and thought, well, hell, that sounds like a good one. Fruit Loops gummies. Now, if any of you have ever smelled Fruit Loops, you know they are quite pungent. As soon as you open that box, boom. These things, you don't even have to open the plastic. And as Todd has pointed out, I'll let you rant on this a little bit. There's also a movement to gummify everything, to turn everything into gummies.
You remember when Swedish Fish came out, and you're like, Swedish Fish, that's neat, and they didn't call them gummies; they're Swedish Fish, and everybody loved them. And then the gummification of stuff,
gummy bears. Although I love gummy bears and
gummy bears,
worms,
and even gummy worms. But then they started gumming, and now they're gumming up these, and they look like a big Fruit Loop.
All right, they do. And I also want to give a consumer alert.
Yeah.
I'm guessing these are going to be disgusting. But even if they're not, I want you to know.
Oh my God, they smell like it.
I told you. Parents, grandparents, caregivers out there, caution your children. If they go up to one of those houses that lets you choose from a variety of candy, they definitely don't want to choose the Fruit Loops gummies. And I'm going to say that even before we taste it. Why? Because when I opened the pack, there were literally only 4 gummies in my pack.
Yeah,
you had 4? Yeah. 4. Not the best value for your walk up to that front door.
Nor particularly environmentally friendly.
Touche. All right, here we go. Cheers. Cheers.
Oh.
No, it's bad. It's offensive.
Now it's getting bad.
Oh my God.
It went from a little wisp of like I'm biting into a Fruit Loop to kind of a medicine-y. And then there's the granulated sugar on the outside.
That is exactly right. Now, I'm a wine guy. We've talked about this.
His palate is finely tuned.
I love a wine that takes me sort of on this journey, maybe a little bit through the fruit to the acidity, maybe then to the earthiness or a nice kind of warm finish. This took me on a journey through like 7 layers of hell because it did. He's exactly right. It started with just that hint of the Fruit Loop. And I thought, okay, this is kind of like a chewy Fruit Loop. It won't be, and before I could get to the thought, it won't be that bad. Then the medicinal nature kicked in. And then that complete granular, like pound of sugar rush. And that was just one of those things.
And it did get a little bit better as more sugar kind of lived in. And then the medicine hit me again on a second wave. It was like the 7 layers of candy hell.
Oh, that was terrible.
Ugh.
That was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And Colleen points out absolutely correctly that fun-size candy keeps getting smaller, which I suppose in one way is not a bad thing because if portions are smaller, then kids are eating less candy in that portion, and that can't be a bad thing. But it's Halloween. That's the time to splurge, and oh my God.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Maybe the candy will get so small that it'll be as small as the nano chips that we're injecting. No, we're not. No. Now we don't inject nano chips.
Hello, Bill.
Yeah, that wasn't good. That one is going right onto my bad side. I'm already getting my my anchors here on the taste test.
That was deeply painful.
What else do you have lined up for us?
What do I have lined up? Let's get to the next one. Just a reminder, you're watching Kids Plus Live. I'm Chad. That's Dr. Todd, and we are suffering through bad Halloween candy so that you don't have to. All right.
Ooh.
I saw these, and I want
that doesn't look okay. Oh my God, that's.
We had versions of these at Easter because everybody has them at Easter, but as we all know now, you can't just have a good idea and make it seasonally once. You have to spread it to all the seasons. Now, on some of these things, I'm not going to complain because the Reese's peanut butter egg at Easter became the Reese's peanut butter Halloween, pumpkin at Halloween, and the Reese's peanut butter tree at Christmas. And the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Heart at Valentine's Day. I think a flag should be next for July 4th. Bring me a rake for Arbor Day. I'm down with any kind of peanut butter cup that you want to give me as long as there are chips in it. However, do we really need Peeps all year round?
Isn't Peeps the whole point that's what a little chicken makes?
Right.
What sound does a pumpkin make?
Now there's a pumpkin Peep. There were also Frankenstein Peeps, but I decided that we should stick to the more traditional ones. The more traditional shape.
They're almost distorted in their look. They're not even uniform like a.
That's a great point because look
at the faces.
The chicks.
The mouths are different though.
Are actually kind of cute. These are, although I guess maybe they're going for that. Here, I'll give you the small one.
Thank you.
Not to torture you.
No.
All right. So
now I will say, in my hand, doesn't have the rubbery effect of a circus peanut. Thank God. I hate the circus peanuts.
Love the circus.
Hate the circus.
All right, here we go.
Tastes like a peep.
and we addressed this at Easter. In addition to the gummification of everything, there's the marshmallowification of everything.
Peepification.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say this might be one of the best Peeps I've ever had.
Actually, it's better than the Peeps. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they're fresher.
Maybe.
And don't forget, we did taste aged Peeps of various ages last time for Easter.
And they do not age as well as wine,
No,
trust me.
This is not bad.
No. And I also think, even though they're a little bit thick, the consistency of this marshmallow is pretty smooth.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm a little down on the commercial marketing commercialization of the Peep into other holidays, but they flavor and taste. I could eat one of those again.
I'm really going to have a hot take here.
Okay.
And say that as much as I love peanut butter cups and as much as I like salty flavors added, I'm going to say the Peep is actually the best thing we've had so far. And just simply for its purity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to go with that.
And the chips ruin that peanut butter
looks
cup.
like we have a Peep content.
Colleen says Peeps are union made right here in PA.
I didn't know they were made in Pennsylvania. Is that real?
In Bethlehem.
Eastern PA.
Not
far from your
That's
area.
Right. No, just
grounds.
Right up the northeast extension of the turnpike.
Pennsylvania.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I guess when they stopped making steel, they started making Peeps. That's wild.
I did not know that.
Super cool, Colleen.
Good call, Colleen. I did not know that either.
I had no idea.
And I will agree with Chad. That is at the top of my list right now. I mean, that was pleasant. I mean,
these are both definitely fresh.
No, they were fresh.
And frighteningly synthetic because
don't read the tone.
Right above the Bethlehem, PA, it says these are best. Just to remind you, this is October of 2022. These are best consumed by July 2024.
Oh, wow. Look at that show. It kind of reminds me of Zombieland. If you haven't seen Zombieland.
What rule is this?
That would be number 110, which is squeezed twice.
Even if these things came fresh out of the vat in Bethlehem a couple of weeks ago, they're still good for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would go Peeps. I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm a little more worried though with what remains.
Yeah, there are two more frightening things here, which we're going to get to. The first, and when I saw this, I thought again,
I kind of excited about this.
Are you? No, but see, really?
I voted. You remember?
That's fair. All right. One of the themes up until this last one, the theme is just disgusting. But one of the themes here, obviously, that I curated this time is mixtures, hybrids, bivalent candies. Last year on this show at Halloween, we taste tested, of course, what you should taste test for bad candy at Halloween, and that is candy corn, among others. And I was perusing the candy aisles this week, and I discovered that there is Nerds candy corn.
Oh wait, they're Nerds.
Nerds. They're Nerds candy corn.
Oh, I don't know about that.
See, I told you weren't going to be excited. It sounded so disgusting.
Okay, that does bother me.
So apparently,
I thought it was straight up candy corn. What is a nerd candy corn?
It's supposed to be sweet little sparks with Halloween delight. Rainbows of flavor side by side, the most perfect combination you've ever tried. They're poets. Let's see if they're candy makers.
Let's see if they know it.
There are strawberry, grape, strawberry, lemon, blue raspberry, orange, and watermelon. So they are nerd flavors.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the Nerds. I didn't realize. I thought these were straight up candy corn.
No, they're nerd flavors in candy corn form.
Yeah, I'm not happy with this. Oh, well, that's
well, it's way too much, but that's what I pulled out.
I don't even know here.
All right, I think this is watermelon. I'm going to
go blue. Wow, no.
It's kind of wild.
Oh, man. I'll try the orange just because it's small.
I will say, they nailed it.
They did stick.
Seriously,
it is a
It is a
Nerdified
nerd candy
candy
corn.
corn.
The candy corn texture is right there,
But the
but with a nerd flavor. And then you're almost getting a sweet tarty kind of finish. It's got that little, or spree, maybe spree. You're getting that kick at the end.
Oh my!
These are actually
like
much
first taste is free.
Much
I mean,
better
now
than I
thought.
I'm gonna finish my handful.
It's like I don't want to eat it,
but I can't stop.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it is exactly what it said it was. Boy, did they deliver on what they said they were going to deliver.
Nerds candy corn. If that in any way sounds appealing to you, I guarantee you will like these.
Yeah, they're exact. Like, there's no false advertising.
No.
That is exactly what I'm gonna eat one more because I don't want to. But
napkin is empty.
I put the other ones there.
Oh, that's right. All right.
Wow. I really don't like them, and yet I keep eating them.
Exactly. It's strange.
That is weird. There's some addictive thing.
Mm-hmm. Probably the sugar.
I mean, yeah. And I know there are all these stories out about the fentanyl. I'd be more worried right now about the.
Yeah.
Can you please address that? Because that is all over the news right now, and I just, my head's gonna explode.
Yeah, it's driving me absolutely crazy. And anybody whose head hasn't exploded yet and uses that head to function understands that Central American and South American drug dealers are not in any way going to put their extremely expensive fentanyl into Skittles to distribute unknowingly to children at Halloween time.
Yeah, that seems like a good business proposition.
Hell of a good business proposition.
Yeah.
The only reason that you give kids free drugs is to get them to continue to buy drugs from you after they've had that first taste and become hooked. Random fentanyl in Skittles, which, by the way, isn't happening. It's not happening. It's not happening anywhere. Is the worst business model in the history of drug dealing or any other business model.
And it ain't happening.
It's not happening in the same way that no one is putting razor blades.
Can you please talk to me? Yes.
No one's putting razor blades in apples or in your candy. We discussed this last year.
Please do it again.
Love busting myths, but let's do it again. I'm sure everybody out there knows, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm on it.
This is the truth of zombie myths coming back at Halloween.
This is really the original. Because we have dated ourselves many times.
Yeah.
People know how old we are. Yeah. This crap was going around when we were kids.
Yeah, X-raying your
bags of candy because somebody out there was putting razor blades in Snickers bars or Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh my God. I'm going to ask you because you know the answer to this. Todd, do you know how many cases in the United States of America, in the entire history of the United States of America, how many cases of razor blades being hidden in Halloween candy have ever been found?
I mean, I heard a lot being discussed. I'm wondering, I'm going to, honestly, I don't know the exact answer. I'll go with 0.
That is the correct answer.
Okay.
0.
Yeah.
0. People talk about this
do you
crap.
Remember that showing up and like there'd be pictures
and
the X-rays and kids bringing their bags to conveyor belts, going through like airport X-ray machines.
Yes, my mom would. I don't know how she thought she could visually inspect to find the razor blades, but I would have to dump out my candy on the table, and she would go through it to decide which ones looked potentially razor bladey or not. And true story, and then take those out. This thing's been around forever, but I guess now we've updated it and we're making a little bit more about fentanyl or other drugs.
And this came from, I guess there is fentanyl on the street that has color to it, but quickly somebody decided, well, that easily translates into this is a planned plot against children.
Correct. And at least there, you can see the seed. It's like the circle game in kindergarten. You whisper one thing into an ear and it goes around and comes out completely different. You can see the seed of that, how it could get to some bizarre myth or legend or idea, but it's not happening. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Now that, Colleen, brings up an excellent point. Can you talk about the parent tax?
Oh, hell yeah. So Colleen says, I go through my kids' candy, but only because I want to take some of the good stuff myself. Now, Diana Schwab is not here.
No.
So we are not going to fancy ourselves developmental or parenting experts. But we're parents. We've been around the block with 5 kids between us over a good long time. And we're telling you right now, this is free professional advice. Mm-hmm. If you are not taxing your kids' Halloween candy and Easter candy for that matter, and just taking it doesn't have to be a tithe, it might be 3%, 2%, or just a bar here or there, whatever. If you are not enacting the parent tax on your kids' Halloween candy haul, you are parenting all wrong.
Yeah.
You are missing out on one of the single greatest perks. Let's face it, Christmas or Hanukkah, birthday, the toys. Playing with the toys again and taxing the Halloween candy are perhaps the two greatest non-emotional perks of parenting that there are.
Yeah. Parent tax is totally
Yep.
legit.
Yep. Amen, Colleen.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We are.
That said,
that was. I don't know
here's
how to describe that last one.
I think there's
Candy.
fentanyl in them. That's what it is.
No, they're not. All right.
All right.
Oh, this looks bad. This looks bad.
Yeah, we saved this for last. These are spooky lip pops lollipops. I could not get the oozing eyeballs, and that was put out there. So, in place of the oozing eyeballs, we have these spooky lip pop lollipops.
Really?
Really, it's the big finish.
This just can't even open it. I think it's like, oh wow, it's double wrapped. That's how dangerous.
I was just gonna say this thing must be so toxic that they've actually double wrapped it, and it comes complete with this.
Oh, it's a lollipop.
It is. It's a lollipop,
like a binky.
Yeah, like a binky. All right. So that's actually the part that you.
Is this a solid lollipop or there's something in that?
I
guess we're gonna find out.
Lip pop, lollipop. No, it's just that's solid, and so you do it so you can have a frightening monster mouth. All right, here we go. What's one term? I would say in terms of flavor, it's not terrible. It's kind of nondescript.
Yeah.
And that's what I figured. Clearly, the hook.
It's solid.
Or the mouth, yeah.
It's not practical though.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's fun, right?
But see, right? That's 1.1.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a big zero.
I mean,
it's the concept.
Yeah, it's concept candy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did look cool though.
Is that going to be the thumbnail?
That's going to be the thumbnail of the show. There's no question about it. All right. No, you know what though? The aftertaste is bad.
Yeah. Not great.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay.
So recap. Do we agree that the best was actually the pumpkin peep?
Pumpkin peeps. I'll agree with that. I'll agree. Pumpkin peeps. Other than us debating the commercials spilling over into other holidays, texture, form, taste,
balance of sweetness to texture. Yeah, I'm gonna go
shelf life. I mean, right there's something that has a 2-year shelf life. Check. I'm going to go. Yes, that was number one.
Yeah.
Now that was best, least bad.
Correct. That was best, least bad.
Okay.
That was least bad. It's like that line from Argo. This is the best bad idea we have. That's the best bad candy we tasted.
What today. Are you going second of least bad?
As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to go with the Nerds candy corn.
Yeah, I'm going to go. They were concerningly addictive.
Excellent phrase. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Reese's peanut, the potato chip, even though they messed unnecessarily with the texture. The taste was good, and at least bad texture, I'd rather be less bad than taste.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And again, I mean, to me, the texture of the chip just ruined everything. But around that, the good taste was definitely there.
Third. That leaves you your Reese's, your Fruit Loops, and your lollipop.
Well, I already had the Reese's with third. So
okay, you did. Okay, so we're flipping because I'm going to do Nerds as my third.
Yeah, I'm going to go lollipop fourth.
Yeah,
because there was just nothing really. There was a slightly offensive aftertaste, but really nothing there, and the stupid mouthy, lippy thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm fourth on the lips lollipop too.
Plus, nothing was anywhere near as egregious as those Fruit Loop gummies. So please don't take that as an endorsement of the other thing. These are our winner/losers.
Yeah.
And not to mention there are only 4 in the entire pack.
Yeah, wait, let's just wait, not in front of your face because let's just show them. Yeah, these are no.
All right, Todd, we got about 2-3 minutes left in the show. Thank you, everybody, as always, for watching. This is not a Halloween trick, and it's definitely not a treat, but we've got a little announcement to make here at the end of the show. And that is that with some of the kind of crush that we've been feeling in the office, we have not had a chance to kind of retool some new ideas, some of the new things we were hoping to get to this year. And so we're going to attempt to do those for the start of next year. And we have also decided that much like those TV shows that go on too long, we don't want to be one of those. And so we are here to tell you today that this is the last Friday morning at 10 a.m. and we were on for a while Wednesdays, but our last regular Friday morning Kids Plus Live show. This is episode 123. We've been on for over 2 years. This is not the end of Kids Plus being live on Facebook or any other platform. This is not the end of live shows. We're going to come back with some, again, new ideas, new concepts. But this format, as it has existed in this time slot, this is going to be our last Friday morning episode. Again, 123 episodes. We're going to forget people, and we apologize for that. But let's thank the people, some of the people who've been regular guests, like our first ever guest and one of our favorites, recurring guest, Dr. Andy Nowalk from a secure and undisclosed medical location that might be overrun with wait times here in Pittsburgh. How about Dr. Katrine Wallace, Dr. Kat, epidemiologist and rock star, Dr. Kat, for being with us. And another one of our regulars, segueing into our stuff, the amazing, we mentioned her earlier, the amazing, everything she says is gold, Diana Schwab, Kids Plus developmental specialist. Our favorite Kids Plus in-housers who are recurring guests who everybody loves, like Dr. Ashley Riley, like P.A. Travis Lewis, like Dr. Lisa Stefano, like Dr. Kate Belser. We've had them on the air multiple times. Absolutely amazing, amazing folks. And we have had Andrew Wade from Case Specific Nutrition and the folks from Girlology and from Embrace Race and Dr. We had Dr. Ben Hoffman on.
Who's now president of the president-elect of the AAP.
Go, Dr.
Ben. Won his election.
Yeah, Dr. Ben Hoffman. We had Dr. Harvey Karp on an episode.
We did have Harvey Karp. Gosh,
we've had a lot of great special guests and people who've joined us. We can't thank all of them enough, and we can't thank all of you enough for starting this ride with us literally 2.5 years ago and going all the way through to the end. It's allegedly the last Halloween movie ever. They should have stopped after the first one, but there's one out right now called Halloween Ends. Are
you going to watch it?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I have.
You have to actually. I guess you kind of have.
It's supposed
Jamie Lee Curtis is still in it.
It's supposed to be awful, but I'm going to watch it because I'm a completist. I have to. So it feels like a fitting time for Halloween Ends, Kids Plus Live, with some fun and some facts and kind of bringing it full circle because there's all kinds of stuff exploding right now that we talked about. But again, we will be around. We will be back. We'll do live shows. We'll do surprise live shows. And in 2020, I'm losing track. In 2023, a year and a half before those peeps expire, we'll be back with some other new and kind of cool concept shows that we're going to do.
Yeah.
Last words from you, Todd? Thoughts, reflections?
Really, everything he just said, and I'll just double down on the thank you. You guys have been awesome. I can't thank you enough for each week tuning in week upon week. I know some of the regular people haven't been able to jump on today, but it has been just an honor to engage and talk to you guys. There'll be plenty of other ways we're going to do it.
Yep.
Keep posting.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, but thank you.
Oh, it's kind of sad. But we'll call it bittersweet. So one last time, I will say thank you for watching Kids Plus Live for Dr. Todd Willin. I am Chad Herman. We are no longer on this show, but still fiercely and proudly in everything that we do here at Kids Plus, taking science back one episode, one day, one podcast, one doctor's note, and one future live show at a time, and taking care of children and families online the same way we do right here in these offices. We won't see you next time, but we'll see you soon. We promise.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great